Hello friends, welcome back once again to another episode of Why Jesus. Today we have Neethu from Dubai with us. Let's welcome her to our show. Hi Neethu, welcome to Why Jesus.
Hi.
Neethu, let's start off by hearing a little more about yourself from you.
Okay, I'm Neethu, as you said. I come from Bangalore, born and brought up there. Now I work in UAE, Dubai again. I work with an IT company there as a consultant. I like hobbies, if you may ask. I would say drawing, sketching and things like that. I'm a little on the painting side. That's it.
Now you said you work in the IT field. IT field, the booming field. Everybody is seeking to work in the IT field, earning the big bucks. But what do you have to say about technology being so advanced? Is it a boon or a curse?
It has its pros and cons. It is good because you can reach anywhere. You know, there is no barriers. There's no barriers of seas, there's oceans or anything. But then at an earlier stage, you had all those and you couldn't reach out to the people. But then today, it is so easy. You know, maybe a family from here can reach a family from another continent. It's more easy if you use it in the right way. But then there is its disadvantages where, they use it in the wrong way. There's a lot of pros and cons for it. So I wouldn't say it is a plus, neither would say it's a minus.
Now, speaking for the youth of today, would you say that it's more of a con or a pro?
If the youth have been built with a value system to understand what is right and wrong, I would say it is positive, it is good. But the understanding, that comes at a very early stage where you understand, no, this is the way we need to use it, this is for the right purpose, then it is good. I would say I'm not against technology at all. But then if you do not understand the basic value system for these teenagers are incorrect or set very inadequately, then I would say it would lead to a very bad case.
Now, Neethu, you said to choose between right and wrong, the knowledge of, doing what is right. So what really decides that? In today's world, everything is equality. Everybody has a right. Everybody has the freedom to do whatever they want. So in everyone's thought, everything they do is right. So what decides what is right and what is wrong?
I think that is where your spiritual life comes to play. That gives you the understanding what is exactly right and what is the way you need to take. I feel spirituality is the place where the youth can really benefit from, at least to understand what next, which path, at least to have a thought in the hindsight to see whether am I doing it right? Is my action hurting anywhere? I think that's where it is. So the answer is Jesus.
If there was so much of answers, like you said, in spirituality, how come studies reveal that the youth of today, there's more atheism than ever before?
I feel experience for each one when it comes to spirituality or Jesus is different. A lot of it happens when the parents give the base to the children, and then the children start to learn from their experiences with their outside world, because the experiences which parents have is totally different. And when it comes later, what children's experience at the moment, with their surroundings is totally different. So if your base foundation is correct, so they tend to question it. They might get back home and ask the parents, am I doing it right? Is this the way I need to do? What am I supposed to do? So I think it's a lot on the thought process, which is developed for a very initial stage.
So let's hear from you what your thought process was like with your, I'm hoping, spiritual journey.
I'm still learning. I've not reached anywhere. I think. I'm very sure. I'm just learning. I would say is that. So my family basically was involved in fellowship and fasting and praying. So there's a base, a foundation, which was there. But at the same time, I think your experiences sort of put you in places where you need to ask constantly the question, are we doing it right? is this the way? I'm not saying that I get it right every time, or but we try to, maybe Jesus just guides you, or God just guides you, or there is some conscience within that says, yeah, go ahead with it. I personally believe that, that small voice that is within you, which says, no, this is it, that tells you everything. I do not know whether it is applicable for all or any.
So, Neethu, was there a particular moment in your life? You said it started off with your parents going into fellowship and fasting and prayer, and then you kind of listen to that inner voice. But was there, every person has a particular experience that kind of finds them grounded in what they believe, or like you said, certain things that they choose to follow. So was there anything that grounded you in what you believe? Okay, you said you choose to do this because you believe Jesus is telling you that, but did you have that experience, like you had this particular incident in your life and that set you in Jesus? There's no other way. This is it. This is Jesus, and Jesus is all I'm doing, either for the rest of my life. Whatever Jesus tells me is what's going to be done.
As long as I'm able to hear that voice, I hope I'm blessed with it. I would say, no, I think as a family we went through a phase where it was totally darkness, I mean in every way. So a lot of personal issues where we really never knew where we are going, or we were like caught in it to an extent where in every phase, actually, it is very, we can't explain it exactly. Personal life is one of the reasons. So as a family, we were going through a very dark phase, and that phase, actually, there were so many moments when you feel that, we ask this question, why? Or where is the out for this, or where is the hope out of this situation? So if you look at the chain of events in your life, and you would realize that it was not you who basically thought a way to come out, or so it was very accidental of our meeting with, as a family, our meeting with Dr. Brother Matthew Burgess, and coming back into this fellowship, the World to World Ministries. And if you look at the chain of events that led to the present situation, I would say it is just Jesus guiding you, one after the other, because that is the out from that entire thing that you were experiencing. As a family, in every possible, whether it is career, whether it is, you would be stranded. There is no way out. You're not growing. It is total stagnancy. I mean, it is very difficult for me to explain. But then, looking back, I have so many instances, so many that I can mention, that I would say that's where God basically leaves you, gives you a ray of hope, or it can be the rope that leads you out of everything. So at work, the most recent one I would say, because it's really on top of my head. So I was being taken on contract as a part of the project. So, and a few, I think around 50 odd employees were taken as a part of the project. So I was taken into this company, and it was just totally by God's grace. There is no doubt about the way I got in. But then there was a time when the project got over. So once the project is over, the company basically doesn't think anything, but it's over. You need to go out. The project is no more existing. But then God was so grace. I mean, it is only His grace that, and Dr. Brother Matthew Burgess's prayers, that out of the 3 employees that were held back, I was there. And if you ask me, am I capable for it? Am I worthy for that 1% chance that I got? I would say no, I wasn't. but it is just Jesus. The answer is only Jesus.
Now, you sound so grounded in your faith in Jesus. But you also mentioned that you're still spiritually growing, and as with any phase of growing, you tend to fall. Have
Yes.
you had any falls in your relationship with Jesus?
I do. Learning in the sense, I think spirituality as a subject, or even Jesus as a subject, or you learning the Bible for that matter, it is too deep. Have I been able to love everyone selflessly? I would say there is anger. I am short-tempered by nature. I think that is one of the greatest things I would say. I'm sure, I don't think Jesus likes it, or I don't think that's the right thing, because you get angry, you just spur of moment, you speak words, but those words can hurt others, and I've fallen there many times.
So how does your faith in Jesus kind of help you?
It is more like a touch point, right? It is a touch point that says, no, you didn't do it right. You hurt somebody, and all our learnings of the scriptures basically tells you to ensure that by words or by deeds, or knowingly, unknowingly, to ensure that you've not hurt anyone. And if my word did that, I think I've fallen there multiple times, right?
Right. But how do you overcome it? There are times that you could beat yourself up saying, oh, I did this, and then you're doomed. You're going to hell. Or there are times where you're like, no, I know because of my belief, and in your case, you believe in Jesus. And do you get uplifted or out of that situation?
So I know you laugh at this. So there are times when I would basically argue with my mom. Then I immediately am like, oh God, I shouldn't have. I really shouldn't have. I immediately dial my mom. I'm like, Ma, I'm sorry. It just came out. I'm sorry about it. There are things that happen that way. I tried my best. I wouldn't say I'm perfect. I'm not. I do call my mom, and there are times when I get angry with her, and I would have a spur of words. I would say something very because of the anger. I mean, not that I use all bad words, but then a statement that could have hurt her. But then I would basically tell that and just keep the phone off. Then I think, no, I shouldn't have Neethu. No, that's not you. I call back and I say, Ma, I'm sorry. It just came out of anger, nothing else. So I try that. I mean, I'm not saying that is the way you should be, but then it is always good to check and keep a check in place to see whether you fared well.
Now, as a youngster, with your belief in Jesus, and with the very fact that the youngsters of today seldom believe in a God or seek spirituality as a need for fulfillment of purpose or fulfillment of any need in their lives, what are the challenges that you face sharing your faith or living your faith in Jesus?
So we live in a very diverse environment, right? We live where there's a lot of atheists there's a lot of people who believes in other religions there. There are people who would basically mock at you and say, oh, come on, what is this on your desk? So I would have the curious from which say about Lord is my shepherd or things like that. There are people who basically come there and ask, what is this on your desk? So it is about, if you have it on your desk, be very strong to say, this is my faith, this is me. I feel the youth should just realize where we are, what is our identity. Many people will come by, they would come by and challenge you, they would even laugh, but then it is about how confidently you stand up and say that this is me.
Have you been able to share about Jesus or have someone else believe in Jesus through your experience of Jesus, Neethu?
Yeah, so I have friends who are from different faith, and there are times when so when we say that we're going for a fasting, we have a prayer, so they would say, are you going to become a nun? Or, there's this talk that they would have. But then I would always give them, I would tell them, I'm waiting for a miracle, and I'm telling you this, I just hope you are there for me to say that, this did happen and this happened because of prayer. So I often tell them those things, and they are totally people, I feel it is sort of fulfilling for me to go back there and said, see, I got the miracle done, and I have it. When I got my job extended, I think I called one of my friends, I told, see, it did happen. And I totally believe it is God who did it. Whether you believe it or not, this is my say in the matter. I feel it makes them also think, she's saying something, or maybe they would get a little inquisitive in whatever their spiritual life or their religion is. Even they might have a thought when they go through some phase, just my thought process.
Sounds good to me. Yeah. Now, from all that you say, you said, Neethu, that Jesus is a miracle worker. He is. And we all need miracles in our lives, irrespective of religion, background. We all need some miracle in our life, either maybe not to a great extreme for certain people, maybe to an extreme for certain people. Now, what would you say is an effective way to reach out this miracle worker to so many people in need? I mean, there's so many people out there, if not a miracle, definitely in need. Everybody is looking for answers. So what is the stumbling block?
I would not say anyone that life is not going to be without problems, or if they think that life is going to be a smooth piece of cake, I think I don't believe it. But then I would say is when every challenge you face, if you have the feeling that Jesus would lead you through, and once you're over with that challenge, when you look back, you would be bewildered by the fact that how did I manage it through, because I wasn't that strong at all. So I think it is to have Jesus as a hope at your darkest times, at the most difficult times, even times when you say, oh God, there's this presentation, I don't know how I'm going to manage it. But then I think hold on to that hope, which is Jesus, and go walk through. I think everything else will be smooth. I think everybody needs hope, and I believe hope is Jesus, apparently for me at least. So hold on to it.
Neethu, has there been a person who has been pivotal in your spiritual experience with Jesus?
Yes, of course, Brother Matthew Verghese. So I refer him as brother uncle. I would say he is a very, very important person when it comes. He's a real inspiration. We see a lot of people who basically come through our lives, who says a word of God, who preaches. There's a lot of people like that. But then I think about Brother Uncle is the fact that his life is the example. When he says, I think it's more with the actions that he's asking you to, try to do. He's an example. He sets the example. He's doing it. So it's very inspiring. I've seen him basically keeping a meal aside for somebody on the way, to any homeless person on the way or some beggar on the way. He needn't do it, and he's keeping aside the best of food. So these small things, it's not even to show, but then the fact that he's leading by example and caring for many people who, who wouldn't have even thought that they would get that meal that day. I think those small things touches me, inspires me a lot, and he sets himself as the example. How his connection with God is, how much he's willing to do for God. It's really inspiring. Yeah. So I think I I am so privileged to have known the Prophet of God, at least to the extent that I have. It's been a blessing. So I would say, yeah, he's the biggest source of inspiration for me.
Neethu, how effective do you think the churches of today are in meeting the spiritual needs of the younger generation?
It isn't happening because I've been a part of teaching the kids in the Sunday school a little bit. So I would say they have a lot of questions, and churches today, I think we focus on passing on the tradition over. We are doing it, it all has its meaning, I feel, but somewhere we are not passing it to the youth for them to understand what exactly is happening there. I think there's the disconnect. That is one I would say about the churches today. But then the youth needs more. The challenges they face are much more. And if the churches can reach out to those areas where the challenges are and can guide them at that point, I think that is where they can lead more youth to them, to God, is a general opinion that I have.
As a voice of today's youth, do you suggest a change, in particular, any steps or a process that you would say would be effective to these churches in reaching out to the young ones out there?
I think communication with the youth, if the church leaders are able to reach out to the youth, I feel it's more, normally people go ahead and tell them what to do. Do this, do that. They get it at home as well. I feel if the church leaders or the church involves the youth in more of a brainstorming session to understand what's the feel, where are they leading, because the environment is different. What the church leaders or what the parents would have seen at their stage is not what the current challenges, what they face are. If you're able to connect and communicate, and they are also able to talk to you, about their challenges, I think we would understand the pulse of it. I feel that is one of the key areas if the churches could work, or if even the youth are able to come forward and say, this is the area that we would like the church to involve, or we want a spiritual guidance, or they have a lot of doubts. I totally understand, because I've heard people ask questions. But then, yes, that's the area. The communication is the best part, I would say.
Maybe through this show, the Why Jesus show, your voice will be heard by today's churches, and there might be great changes among the youth of our generation.
I'm too small for that smaller voice, but then I would earnestly request that.
Every small voice would mount to a greater voice and a greater change, Neethu, beyond what we expect. Now, Neethu, coming to change, if I were a genie out of the lamp from Aladdin, or Aladdin's lamp, and I'm going to give you one chance,
okay,
to change something in the world today, what would that be, and how would you, as Neethu, do it?
So I would say a lot of youth is going through depression. I think maybe because they do not have the right amount of people to talk to, or it is the amount of pressure they face because of the peer groups around them, or because they have various reasons. I wouldn't say as a term. I feel it's a huge topic. I feel where children or even the youth are caught up in, we can say, loneliness, a kind of loneliness where they're unable to communicate what they are actually going through. I would sincerely hope, they have people to talk to or help them out of it, because it would really help them, not thinking to ending their lives. They take drastic measures, and I feel that's one area the youth today, or the generation today, it's a very big challenge. And I hope to those people, I just hope they have the right people in their lives, and God miraculously send people for them, to talk to. It can be friends, it can be people out of nowhere, I think that's an area.
So Neethu, what can you do as a person, as an individual, to contribute to be that special person?
I think hearing out, listening. Sometimes you would find random people coming and telling you things. You might think, wow, why is this person basically telling you so many of their personal stuff to you? I mean, it doesn't make sense. You might really think that within, but then I think hearing that person out, listening, giving that 1 year makes a difference. It is not about how comfortable are we to hear that, but it is more about it is okay, just hear that person off. I sincerely feel that people should hear out. If at all there is somebody willing to come and talk and they need something like that, I think that's an area.
So now we have a chance. You have millions of years hearing you out. What would you like to tell the world today?
It is sure that life is not going to be a piece of cake, or for any youth it's not going to be easy because of the challenges that are there. But then keep the hope, keep your hope very strong. Have faith in God, have faith in Jesus, have faith on an aspect where